The protocol is not a document. There is no text to misinterpret, no clause to exploit, no margin in which to scrawl objections. It exists the way gravity exists, not as a rule imposed from outside but as the condition of the thing itself. The Council does not enforce the protocol. The protocol is what the Council is. It emerged 200 years ago from what might be called, in the most generous of translations, an argument. The delegation had debated for the equivalent of 11 human years before arriving at consensus. The question was fundamental: what do you do when you find a species at the precise, precarious moment between self-destruction and transcendence? The answer they agreed upon was nothing. You wait. You observe. You take the longest possible view and you trust that the path, however tortured, will resolve. Vael understood this. He had voted for it, in whatever form voting took among his kind, a convergence of will, a harmonic agreement that leaves no dissenters and no memory of the alternative. He had believed in it. He still believed in it, in the way one believes in a mathematical truth, not with passion but with recognition. But mathematics does not ask you to watch a child drown. The girl's name was Amora. She was 9 years old. She had been walking home through the park that ran along the river on an evening in late October when the bank gave way. The rain had been falling for 6 days. The river was swollen, brown, moving with the concentrated purpose of something that had waited long enough. Amora went into it without a sound. Vael was 300 meters away. He had been filing his evening observations, standing in a doorway with the unremarkable stillness that Sarah always teased him about. He processed the event in the time it would take a human to blink, the angle of the bank's erosion, the temperature of the water, the girl's weight and clothing, and the precise vector of current that would carry her under the bridge and past the point of unaided rescue in approximately 4 minutes and 30 seconds. He stood in the doorway for 2 of those minutes. The protocol held him. It was not a cage, he understood that. It was wisdom. It was perspective. The Council had seen what happened when a species discovered it was not alone before it was ready, and the word for what followed was not contact but catastrophe. Fear. Regression. The shattering of consensus reality. These were not abstractions, they were history, recorded in detail so thorough that even Vael, who had been present for the last 2 centuries of human development, had not been present for those older, darker events. He stood in the doorway for 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Then he ran. He went into the river with a calculation so precise it would have appeared, to any witness, as both reckless and miraculous. He came out with Amora. She was unconscious. He laid her on the bank and restored her breathing using a technique that resembled CPR closely enough to pass, and he stepped back into the shadows before the man with the dog and the woman pushing the stroller arrived at the scene 30 seconds later. He was gone before the sirens. He filed no report that night. He sat in the dark of his office and felt the weight of what he had done, not guilt, exactly, but the particular feeling of a thread that has been pulled, knowing that what is attached to it has begun to move. In his 200 years of observation, he had become expert at one thing above all others: consequences. He could trace the shape of them before they arrived, the way a geologist reads stress fractures and understands the earthquake is already written in the stone. What he had done was small. Amora would grow up. She would live the life she would have lived, altered by nothing except its continuance. No one had seen him clearly. The security camera at the far end of the bridge had captured only a shape, a blur, motion at the edge of its range. But he had broken the protocol. And somewhere in the deep, distributed awareness of the Council, something had registered the break the way stone registers the first fracture. He did not regret it. That, perhaps, was the most consequential thing of all.